Hey, 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 listen up. I need you to listen up. If you're not having fun in life, what is even the point? What is even the point? I I was on the street today walking around, the sun's out, and the weather it put me in a good mood. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. Heaven forbid. So I'm on the streets walking, and heaven forbid the song the Lazy Song by Bruno Mars, you know, right? Heaven forbid the Lazy Song by Bruno Mars is stuck in my head. And I'm waltzing down the sidewalk. I got my little purse on my shoulder, my sunglasses on. Okay, picture this, okay? All right. And I'm like, today I don't feel like doing anything. Okay? I was literally just doing that. And imagine, much to my surprise, the people walking around me were like looking me up and down. The people walking at me were like, okay. And at first I was like, whoa, like, why are they staring at me? And then I was like, whoa, I have an audience. So, look, I think that a lot of the time when you see somebody enjoying themselves, it's really easy to be like, because you're not even enjoying yourself. So to see somebody else do it, it's like out of the ordinary. It's like a rare sighting. It's almost like finding a rare Pokemon on Pokemon Go or something. And like I always try to remind myself, like, Anna, if you're not having fun right now, what's the point? Life is an experience that we're supposed to just navigate and live, but you enjoy life the most when you're having fun. And let me shut my window. And it's really easy to get caught up in the little shenanigans of responsibilities and work and bills. I know we can't just be ignorant to that kind of stuff. But if you're not having fun in life and where you are, reevaluate your situation and see what you can do to make it a little bit more fun. Okay? Because if you're not having fun, what's the point? Literally, what's the point? If I know, there is no point. There's no, at that point, just, I don't know. But, like, I went to Portugal a couple weeks ago, and there's this this chapel of bones in Faro. And it's literally like a chapel made of bones, like pretty self-explanatory. But like you could literally see the skulls of like a lot of people and the bones of everybody in this chapel. And it was really cool, but it was also a little unsettling to see that many bones and a lot of skulls. And then there was a sign on it that said, "This is all gonna be us one day," or something like that. It was like, "This will be you one day," and it's like, shit. And then the person I was traveling with, he was like, "And we work so hard and stress ourselves out just for this." And I didn't respond, but in my head, that I clocked it and locked it. I was like, oh my god, he's right. We stress, we worry, we work like a dog to end up having somebody looking at our skull many years down the line in a chapel. I paid €2 for that, to walk on somebody's bones and to look at somebody's skull. But if you're not having fun, like, really, what's the point? Really, what's the point? If you're not enjoying yourself and what you do every day, what's the point? If you can't dance down the street, what's the point? If you don't feel comfortable dancing down the street singing the Lazy Song by Bruno Mars, what's the point? Like, I felt good, so I was gonna dance down the street. Sue me. If other people don't know how to have fun and enjoy themselves, that's not really my problem, that's their problem. And the more you focus outside of yourself onto other things, the less you're focusing on you, and less you care about what other people think of you. Because a lot of the time, what holds people back from being their true selves, being their true, quirky, weird self, is the thought and the judgments of what other people are gonna think. In reality, everybody's just scared to be themselves. They're all scared of being judged. But you know what? It's the person who isn't afraid to be a little weird and isn't afraid to be themselves and isn't afraid to put themselves out there that people secretly admire the most. And that is a freaking fact. That is a freaking fact. Like, I know that for 100%. That is 100% fact. The people who are able and who have courage to put themselves out there and, just are themselves, people admire the most. Absolutely. Absolutely. Try to argue me on that, you can't. Because all anybody wants at the end of the day is to just be able to be themselves. But we've gotten so used to being a certain person, a certain character, to please the people around us, society, whoever. So, yeah. If you're not having fun, literally, what's the point? Like, what's the point? Don't be so hard on yourself. Oh my God, we make everything a freaking battle. It doesn't have to be like that, If you're not having fun, what's the point? Anna signing off. Probably gonna dance and sing more on the streets later today, and if anybody has anything to say about it or gives me a look, I'm just gonna add that into my dance. I'm gonna incorporate it. If somebody looks back at me and gives me a look, I'm gonna be like, I don't care. I'm not gonna see you ever again. Jeffrey, I'm not gonna see you ever again. Sarah, whoever the frick, Jen, I'm not gonna see you again on the street. I don't care. And a lot of the time, people actually appreciate your quirkiness too. Not only do they secretly admire you and wish they were you, but they also there's people out there who do appreciate it. I remember, separate occasion, I was in Portugal. I was in the grocery store, and Love Never Felt So Good by Michael Jackson came on, and I was like, dancing. Let me see you groove. Dun, 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 baby. Because, I'm in Portugal. I've been abroad for, 3 months at this point, and hearing Michael Jackson, a little piece of home, a little nugget of home, if you will, in a random store in Portugal, made me feel wow, home is always with me. Anyways, so I started dancing in the grocery store because Love Never Felt So Good gets me going. My feet aren't staying still for that long. Are you kidding? And if your feet are, reevaluate, okay? But anyways, I'm in the aisles, I'm dancing, and I make my way up to the cashier register, and I'm dancing, and there's a couple in front of me, and the wife's kind of facing my way, and she starts dancing, and then the husband, his back is faced towards me, but he can see his wife's doing a little jig, and then he's checking out his wife, because why is she jigging out? She never does this. Then he turns around and realizes, oh, I freaking started the whole jig. And he was like, I like to see it. And you know what? It was a wholesome little moment. And people appreciate just authenticity, quirkiness, personality, a little bit of, I don't want to say zest, but, a little bit of, a little bit of zest. Sure. Why not? Being average and normal and everybody else, that's so freaking boring. And I think about that sometimes, and I'm like, oh my God, when I meet people, sometimes I'm so freaking boring, and I'm like, that's not who I even am. That's me putting on a show for somebody else. So, oh my God, why am I getting notifications from Google Classroom? I do not want to do schoolwork. It's not why I'm here. Anyways, Anna signing off. Yeah, if you're not having fun, what is the point?